Delicious. Iced kohi. Fantastic. Kohiを飲みます. Coming to you from somewhere south of Tokyo. Made it to Japan. Done some rehearsals. Just about ready to rock and roll over here. And everything's good. Today's actually a day off. It's Monday where I am. So it's not technically Sunday live for me. But anyways, everything's cool. What are you guys talking about in the chat? Sorry about the time. I think I'm maybe stepping on Ben Coombs' toes a little bit. That's possible. Might be difficult just for the next few weeks because it is what it is. What's this comment here? Just because of my my schedule and stuff. For me, 11 is or whatever, 11:30 noon is like 2 in the morning. So yeah, it's crazy. So I might get in the mode where I'm staying up so late or whatever that I might do that. I remember doing that in years past when this show's been going on so long that I think in 2018 when I was here working, I was doing live streams at like 2 in the morning, which is always interesting. Or maybe not. Let's see here. Watch last week's live stream. Saw you were playing the Sheryl Crow acoustic. Just bought a Gibson Southern Jumbo, best acoustic I've ever played. That's awesome. Yeah, I really like that Sheryl Crow guitar. I haven't played it in a number of years. It just doesn't have an exceptional pickup in it, but I should put a good system in it because it's a nice guitar it's a good solid, like the neck feels great. Just like really good playing guitar. And it looks cool because it looks like an old, 60s Gibson country western. So that's kind of cool. Well, there's 80 people here. That's not too bad for being such an odd time. I know there's probably nobody in Europe just because of the time and stuff. But what else are we talking about here? Just ordered the Airstep TX edition, the ultimate foot controller for Tone X1 and pedal. That's cool. Tone X1 you can use it with. That's cool. That's interesting. Be a nice addition. I've got my Tone X on my board that I still haven't really used it, but I'm sure I'm going to utilize it at some point because I could basically turn this is the pedal board that I have here that I think I showed you guys maybe last week with the VP4 on it and stuff. I could use it as a direct solution with kind of at least like a clean dirty on the Tone X, and it'd be pretty cool for one-offs or stuff like that. So eventually I'll get that going and see how it works. For the first day here, I used an alternate setup. I used a rented Marshall cab. I think I talked about this last week, but I used a rented Marshall cab and a Friedman IRX, and they had a VHT 252. They couldn't have had a better power amp. It's a perfect one. Or VHT Fryat, I guess. Why'd they call it VHT? I'm still on that. It's only been 20 years since he's changed the name. But a Fryat power amp, and it worked great. And then I just switched over once I got my PT amps, and I think I put up a picture like let me see the other day, but that's the rig right now. Looking pretty cool. Come on. They're using those SE. Those things in front of the cabs are SE filters. There's a 57 sticking through each of those, and they're just like a reflection filter, so less bleed gets into the microphones, or basically no bleed. I will say this: I got my in-ear mix going the other day, and it sounds amazing. I didn't have to do it. I didn't get it going. The woman that's running monitors dialed in a mix that was like, well, that's kind of perfect, like absolutely amazing. It's the best inner mix I've ever had. Nice reverb on the acoustics, and the panning was just, I sort of, basically told her what I wanted, which I just said I want to mix with me, just panned a little bit. My guitar's stereo, but I said just sort of image it a little bit like 11 o'clock. And then the other guitar player back, you image him like just over 1 o'clock. And there it was, and it just sounds absolutely perfect. I've asked for 2 changes, like I think I wanted a little less snare, and other than that, like that, and just the guitar levels a little bit have been changing, and that's it. And it's just like sounds clear and awesome, and it's a pleasure. So, me and my rants about in-ears. I'm actually like super stoked. Being a good monitor person is all about just being intuitive, I think, and knowing what somebody wants, and having good ears, obviously, because like the ability to, for instance, balance a drum kit, right, so that the second snare and the regular snare are the same volume, and that all the toms are balanced, and the overheads are in there just right. And somehow she's got this thing going too, where there's a lot of open mics in there. I mean, there's 3 background singers. There's a vocal mic on the drums. There's there's at least 7 open vocal microphones, which usually creates a little bit of phasing chaos in ears and stuff, and just kind of like randomness. And it sounds tight and defined, and like there's none of that weirdness like going on. It's just clear, really something. So that's really nice. Is a nice surprise, big pleasure to just have it right out of the gate when I put them in. Basically, be like, yeah, that's 96% of the way there, and then just make a couple subtle tweaks and. Yeah. So anyways, I'm having a great time in Japan. Just awesome. I mean, like the people and the just the respect and the work ethic and everything is always knocks me out. And it's just, I gotta say, really nice to be here. Anyways, I'm fortunate. So let's see. Todd says, I usually spend Sunday evening watching Pete, and now I have no idea what to do. I'm sorry. I'll be back. Mid to late October, I'll be back in the studio. And then I'll be back over here again. And then I'll be back in the studio. And then I'll be back over here again. And then I'll be back in December. So kind of going like that for a while. What else are we talking about here? Joe says he got some blood work done and he's healthy. That's fantastic, Joe. That's good. So I'll report it here for the first time, because I've talked a little bit about this on the show, and not that it's that interesting or whatever, so we won't talk about it long. But I'm actually my lazy eye handicap. I'm actually going to get it operated on, I think. So there's some interesting people that I've had in the chat that have talked to me a little bit about it, and very respectful and kind of like, hey, I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but if you do, like, I've got some suggestions. And anyway, I went and had an MRI done a while back on this part of my head. And they looked at it, and there's this doctor that's just a long story short that I've met with, and he's quite highly regarded, and he seems like a really good guy, and he's like, I think I can help you, So I'm gonna go for it. It's totally reversible, evidently. Can always be complications, I guess, but he's got a great track record, and he says most people are very happy when they get it done. So that's going to be in December. So see what happens. We'll see what happens. No pun intended. Yeah. How's the jet lag? Not bad. I did good. Every night, I'd say the first night I got 5 hours of sleep, maybe 5.5, which is, I'll take it, And every subsequent night after that has been at least 6, which is, I can't ask for more than that, coming all the way to Japan or Europe. So I feel pretty good. And, last 2 nights been like 6.5, 7 hours at least. So tonight I'll probably be a good 8 hour, and I'm totally turned around by then. Usually takes a week to get totally turned around, but I'm really good at jet lag. I mean, I can like just power through, but like during the work days, we have long rehearsals that we do over here, like good solid 9-hour days, 10 hours sometimes, long days. That's the in it to win it over here. Hard worked. And I'll get a little tired by 4 or 5 p.m. You feel it a little bit, but to be honest, I was just fine. So I think I'm used to it by now. I've been all over the place this year, so it's crazy, man. Yeah. What else we got here? Let's see. What do I think of the new Jackson lineup? I saw the new sort of Randy Rhoads, like kind of that looks like the newer soloists. They have the very streamlined and kind of like basic colors, and but they look cool, like just kind of simple and cool. I mean, that's cool. I saw that. I haven't seen other ones. Is there others that I should be looking at? Let's take a look and see what. I thought they're neat. I have a soft spot in my. I would love to have like a black Randy Rhoads with the gold hardware and all the right stuff. It's just, I really like the necks on those guitars too, and it's just a piece of history, and they're cool. So, uh, oops, got my keyboard set to Japanese keyboard. It doesn't work if you type in Jackson. Jackson guitars. Oh, of course it's going to pull up the Jackson Guitars Japan website, but that's okay. We see this when I pull that up. Yeah, there it is. This kind of vibe, but this new, it's backwards because of I guess I didn't hit the mirror image on the thing. I'm not gonna worry about that. But that's interesting. Those are the main ones that I saw. I didn't see others really. Looks like they've got some other sort of shredders here. Kind of interesting. Anyway, cool, man. I brought my Jan Ray over here, which is Japan-made pedal chorus Femram, and it's sounding great on the gig. I'm using it quite a bit. I've got a really good, very wet spring reverb sound happening for a few things on this gig. Really boingy and like crank, like a reverb turned up to 6 on a Fender, like getting substantially wet, and it sounds so legit. It's like with the Jan Ray, set for light moderate overdrive in front of the clean channel in my amp. I've got lots of treble dialed up, and the reverb quite wet. It sounds pretty damn surfy, so that's cool. So far so good with the VP4. I really like it. Sounding really good. Very nice sound. Oh, Jack Butler era revisited. Is that right? Okay, well, now you make me want to go to the Jackson US and see what I'm missing, because maybe I'm missing something. Or maybe somebody can... Jackson Guitars, New Arrivals. Oh, it's called the 1985 collection. I see that here. Let's take a look at that. Jackson Guitars. Waiting. They look pretty cool. Oh, they look really cool. Oh, that's a Pro Origins 1985 limited San Dimas. That looks like mine. Like the as far as all the details, the maple board and that headstock, the whole 9 yards. Oh, they're really cool. Oh, this one's cool. Just black with it's backwards, sorry, but you get the idea. That's bitchin'. Oh, those are really cool. Yeah, I like those. And they got the Jackson pickups, like they're full on. It's pretty neat. They're going for the nostalgia. So these are cool. X series. I mean, they're just full 80s, like the I do like. Looks like they did it right. Sorry, I'm getting cut. I should look at this later. But look at that one. That's bitchin'. I mean, I love the kind of the Charvel Japan. I had one of those. I had a Model 2, and then I routed it for a neck pickup, so it was really cool. I kind of had a unique guitar. It looked factory. I mean, it looked like 2 humbuckers, and exactly like that. If you saw the headstock, it would be Charvel instead of but it looked like that. And then I just put a switch down here on it and routed it for a neck pickup, and I had a, I don't know, probably Duncan 59 or something in there, I think. That's bitchin'. I like these a lot. Nostalgia takes me back. I still remember the first day that I went to Mother's Music in Edmonton, and I saw the first Charvels and Jacksons that they got in. There was maybe 4 Charvels that basically looked like this, that were like graphic, but with the Charvel headstock. The original, by the time those guitars came to Canada, they'd already switched to the hockey stick headstock. So it was that with the Charvel logo. So it'd be 84 or so, and they had like graphics with like a lightning bolt on it or something like that, and it was just like the coolest thing I'd ever seen at that point. It was so cool. By the time I got mine, it was a couple years later, around 86, and they'd already switched to Jackson. So they looked like this, the Jackson name, and Charvel became their overseas brand. which I always thought was kind of a mistake. I don't know that they did that. Like, why not just make Jackson Japan and Charvel Japan to keep the names kind of? It sort of, it almost had the effect at the time, even though the guitars were great. But if you remember, my perception of it was it cheapened the Charvel name, and then they went to Charvet. Remember that? And they had the really cheap ones that were probably at the time made in Korea or something. And it was just sort of like, I guess it was a Grover thing, like wanting to phase out the Charvel name a little bit because it was Wayne Charvel's name. It wasn't his name, Jackson, and make Jackson the premier kind of U.S. I got what they were doing, but I thought you've got this great, like, kind of, Charvel was really cool. And it's like you could have them simultaneously, I don't know, and just do different things with them, kind of like they do now. That's basically what's going on now. The Charvel is, U.S. custom shop or whatever. And I don't know, right? Anyway. Okay, what else? A little bit like PRS and PRS SE, which has been brilliant. I think I think it's a stroke of genius the way PRS has done their, the SEs widely seen as it's probably for like a, their sort of more lower priced overseas brand or whatever. It's probably the most successful rollout by a major company that I've ever seen of, like over the last 15 years they've been doing it, or whatever, 20 years. I think they did it right, and quality, like those guitars are well made. They're highly regarded, generally speaking, and they've been quite successful with. It's almost unprecedented that, that as far as I just remember, Kramer or when Charvel went over to, and then Charvet and all that, it sort of had this effect of, I don't know, or maybe is it just me, but it had an effect of like kind of just, I don't know if negative is the right word, but it just put it into a different category mentally, like as far as what those guitars were all about. So Todd's asking, did you actually remember any of the songs you played before with this artist, or is it all new? Oh yeah, no, I remember quite a bit. There's a lot of stuff I haven't played, but there's a lot that I have too. So in the past, he likes to reinvent things though, so it'll be a new arrangement many times. It's an interesting process. I mentioned to him the other day that he reminds me a little bit of when I played with Draco Rosa, who's a great, artist from Puerto Rico that I played with 20 years ago. And Draco, in a very similar way, he's a very creative guy, and he liked to recreate his songs in a different, format or, style or sound or tempo or whatever, for every tour almost we would do. Like there were songs that I played, the same song I would probably played 5 different ways, like over the course of a few years of playing with him. He just liked to mix it up a lot. It wasn't like, you started with the record and kind of learned that, but then like from there you might do a fast version, a slow version, a reggae version. This could be just about anything. So it's interesting too, because some of Tiyoshi's music sounds very distinctly kind of like a certain production style, like an 80s Japan centric sort of production style, and then he will have way modernized it or something, and be doing a different, different sound, different thing with it. And some of those arrangements stick, but other ones, I don't know. And then there's other things that he does that are very kind of a little bit, he's almost got a little bit of a rockabilly thing going on sometimes, hence the surf, the reverb sound that I was talking about making. And some of those are like the original recordings, production wise, and the vibe are really cool. Like, and so it's almost, I think, just in my opinion, when we do them, I think trying to get close to the record is actually great, because it's like they really got a vibe that they were able to capture on those records. So it just depends. It's all different. It's challenging though. It's fun. You definitely put your creative hat on this gig, and come up with endings and transitions, and he likes ideas, and it's just knowing when to voice them and stuff like that is always the art, I think. But anyways, my ears are buzzing after cranking up my tube amp. Can you suggest a tube amp alternative so I can save my hearing? Well, there isn't really an alternative for volume, if you like what it does, but of course you can use hearing protection, even I swear, give it a try. Even AirPods these days, especially probably the new 3s that are coming out, The two pros are incredible for dropping volume. I think they're amazing. I mean, they're basically like an active earplug. And, I don't know if people know this about them, but there's the two different modes that you can use and still hear quite clearly, which is there's the adaptive mode that adapts to different environments, and then the transparent mode. And just on your phone, you set that, and it's kind of amazing. Like the adaptive mode, I think, drops things quite a bit, like down like 15 to 25 dB, depending on the environment you're in. And then the transparent mode is as much as, I think it's like 10 dB or 12 dB or something like that. And I use it mainly, just the transparent mode. But in a rehearsal situation or at a concert or something, when you put those in, it's amazing how clear everything still is. And it'll just take the edge off the transients and stuff. So give them a try. They're one of the best investments I've made over the last few years. My favorite piece of gear, my AirPod Pros. But you can put them in and play guitar with them in, and it's like there's not a lot of latency. Like I don't really notice it. So it's cool. So for listening to loud amps or going to a show, and when you're at a show and you're talking to people, people are, they're yelling at you, the music's loud and stuff, that you can kind of hear it better. It's like you can make out what people are saying, and it'll limit stuff to, I think, 95, or like nothing's getting above that, 95 dB, something like that. I read about it. I don't remember the exact specs, but they're quite cool. I would give that a try. That's my favorite thing for dropping volume these days and still having things sound good and enjoying myself. Pete, how would you describe the difference in feel between IRX and similar captures on Nano Cortex? It's a good question. If you only needed Friedman type tones for a direct touring gig, which would you choose? To be honest, I would probably choose the Friedman because it's working out good. I just used it. I like the fact there's the knobs right there, and it does what it does, and it really sounds good. The IRX, like through a power amp and a cabinet, it's basic. I didn't have a hell of a lot of time. I just did one rehearsal day with it, but I was quite impressed. It sounded really good. So just easy. I'd probably go that route. Nothing wrong with the Nano, but you're just one step removed because you're using a capture. I'm a big fan of the Neural too. I use the quad with 5 for Fight and everything, as you know, I think, and it works out great. So yeah, just bought the Jackrabbit tremolo. That's from Sir, and say I'm knocked out as an understatement. Does everything and more. That's awesome. That's one I haven't played with a lot out of all the Sir pedals, to be honest. But I'm glad that you like it, and I'm sure John will be glad too. I hear respect is in Japan is a little different than the States. Must be a nice break. Oh, it's everything. I mean, I can't quite describe it, especially even when you get out of a big city and you're in a smaller, like where I am right now. I mean, they were doing some road work the other day, and the roads are quite small here, very narrow. The cars are smaller and everything to compensate and all that. But anyway, there was a truck, some sort of maintenance truck, and then they were, I think, jackhammering and doing some stuff to a road. And to do that, there will be a contingent of guys in hard hats with glow sticks. And as they sense you walking up, you're a pedestrian, you're going to walk by a little construction street thing. They're waving you with the wand. And, there's a guy at the beginning of the whole thing. There's a guy in the middle. There's another guy there. And then there's another guy down at the end. And then the people doing the work. And they're there to keep the public safe from, you'd never see this in the States or whatever. And, you're walking up and the guy is waving and he bows and tells you can go. And it's just like the nicest vibe. I can't describe it, And then at the end, you walk by and the guy, if they ask you to wait for a minute, you wait for a second and do something, and then they wave you by and they'll tell you that you can walk. And then it's just like another level of, it's like the nicest, most calm, respectful, incredible. I'll give you another example. When there's like a ambulance or a police car or something going through an intersection, and it's a walk lights on, but the siren's going. First of all, the sirens aren't very loud here because they don't need to be. So it's not the screaming siren going by, amping up your blood pressure, but it's like half that volume. And then there'll be somebody on a on a PA, like on a megaphone or whatever, like from the car, saying "Go on the side, go on the side," which is like, "We're sorry, we're sorry." We're like driving through. They're actually like apologizing for disturbing the if people are crossing in a crosswalk or something over the megaphone. The whole time. It's amazing. It's like just really chill, like. And of course, the trains here are legendary for being on time and stuff. If they're late, like 1 minute, they're on the PA giving you a full explanation of what happened and why, and and a big apology over the fact that the train's going to be a minute late. It's incredible. Yeah. So really, 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 really a nice place that for some reason, just when I came here in the 90s, for the first time, I really bonded with it. I just have a real love for it that's never abated. Nonstop from LAX. Yeah, I flew here nonstop from LAX. Yeah. Very nice flight. Delta, got to give them props. It was wonderful. So, yeah, it was all good. You still using ASIs? Not right now. I like them, still have them. Just kind of the sound of the in-ear itself, I feel like is better with I'm using 10-year-old 64 ears A5s right now. That's the one that I've sort of settled on. I've got my Ultimates here too. I actually have 3 pairs of in-ears here. I have my Ultimates. I've got this French pair that I've had forever that I had from the Milan Farmer Tour in 2013. And then I've got my 64 A5s from 2014. I don't think they even make an A5 anymore. They make an A4 and an A6 now. And the number designates the number of drivers in each side, I think. So mine that I'm comfortable with right now and just have grown the most used to the sound are the A5s. It's a 5-driver, not too far off or dissimilar to something like a UE7 or something, just a basic Ultimate ear. Yeah, and I'm quite happy with them. I've been hearing great things about these fur in-ears, but I don't know. They're very expensive, $2,500 or something they start at. I don't know if I feel like spending that right now. I mean, the ones I have worked, so. And knock on wood, man, I've never had a problem with them. Many others I've had drivers go out and, and stuff like that. And they said this ones I got right now, this work, man. They just they work and they keep on working. Just keep them clean. They're cool. So, where can we hear you in Tokyo this week? Well, I'm not in Tokyo this week playing, although I am going to go hang out there today. I'm going to leave after I get out of here with you guys in about this isn't going to be a super long one. I'm going to go in about 25 minutes or something like that and go into town, go to Hyper Guitars, I think, maybe. So if you're in Tokyo, come see me. I'm going to look around some shops and stuff. I'm not staying in Tokyo until next week. Actually, is that right? I'll be there end of this week. So doing some more rehearsals out here and stuff, but I just have like a day off today. So I'm going to go into town and hang out because it's fun. Do you have health insurance? Start a Patreon. I'm glad you donate. That's too kind, man. I'm okay though. I've got good. That's really nice of you. I've got good insurance, and I'm all set. I appreciate you though. Yeah, as a musician, I don't have any kind of employer that so I got to buy a personal plan, and it ain't cheap. But it's not cheap for anybody in America, is it? Just what part of it? You just got to make enough money that you can pay for stuff. That's the United States. But appreciate you, man. Thank you. Are you literally playing 9 to 10 hours a day in these rehearsals? Playing a lot. I got a guitar on a lot. I'm on my feet a lot. Talking about arrangements and stuff a lot, though, too, and trying ideas, trying transitions or endings and things like that. That's a big part of it. And then generally a set run through, a full set run through. So if it's a show run through, that'll probably be 2 hours, something like that of that time. And there's, dinner break, lunch break, sort of, a little bit of hurry up and wait and stuff like that. But it's definitely the longest rehearsal days I've done have been in Japan, as far as just the most intense, rehearsals, and it's just how they roll and stuff. And they're, but I quite enjoy it. I like it. I've part of why I guess I'm here again. This has been going on, this gig for me on and off for about 11 years. So, I really enjoy it. And just Stoked to be here. Speaking of Jackson, have you tried the made in Japan? There's an all white. I probably have and just didn't realize that it was made in Japan. I probably have. Yeah. There was an orange and black Charvel Jackson that I pined for at my local guitar shop in the 80s. Still think about that guitar. Yeah, I remember, that's like when you're a kid and all your favorite, it was Steve Vai, of course. And, all our favorite players were using them, right? You saw them everywhere. They were like the cool. It was at the time, it was a very low point for Fender when Fender was almost out of business. And Gibson was somewhat floundering, but Les Paul wasn't, and everybody wanted Floyd Rose and a Super Strat and stuff because Eddie, of course. And the Charvels were just, it was basically Charvel and Kramer just kind of like ruling the world at that point, right? So it was amazing if you were into that sort of thing. Those guitars just had a profound, they were just like the coolest thing ever. It was like looking at a souped up Corvette or something, I'd like to see more single pickup S-style guitars without that goofy crooked pickup. My first guitar, Area Kramer copy, has that goofy pickup. Still bothers my OCD. They do sound different. It's interesting. There was a guy on he was actually doing a Green Day, like a Billy Joe, because I believe his guitar, which is just like a Fender with a crooked JB, right? He actually tried, it's a YouTube video, I think, where he demonstrates the difference in the same guitar, or same kind of guitar anyway, with the slanted pickup. And the slanted pickup did sound cool. It was like exactly what you think it would be. It was just like had a little more clarity or something because of the slant. But I know what you mean. If it's a thing, you either like it or you don't. Recently saw a Surge in black model be a guitar center used for around $2,400. Those guitars are so smooth to play. They are. Yeah, they're amazing. I'm all about them. PV issued some pedals. The Bandit in the Decade. Is that like a new thing? PV Bandit pedal. Really? What's that all about? Oh yeah. Is it like a how interesting. Bandit Supreme Teal Stripe preamp pedal. Is it supposed to sound like an amp? Turning my Fender into a PV Bandit. Looks like there's a few YouTubers out there that have gotten these things, but not very many actually. What the heck do they do? Just an in and out. So it must just be like an amp distortion pedal. I don't want to assume. There's a Sweetwater link, so let's check it out. Let's talk about it, shall we? They're about $199. From the western twang of the pedal steel to the saturated glory of hard rock, PV has had a hand in shaping the sound of guitar-driven music for well over a half-century. Now, in a series of compact pedals, PV gifts players with one-to-one recreations of the famed preamp selections of classic PV amps. I like the Bandit, of course. No discs here. I mean, I've got a fond place in my heart for that era of things too. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say I don't know if they were ever known for, where I'm going with this. I'll stop there. I don't say no more, Thorn. But anyways, cool. Maybe it'll be great. Hey, I've often thought I could go back and probably play one of those, and I would probably quite like it, Teal Stripe Supreme amp. Bandit Supreme. Anyway, they're 3-band EQ, mid shift for boosted or scoop mids, gain switch toggles gain with pre and post gain knobs, saturation control. Interesting. Kudos to you, PV. I wish you lots of success. If you want me to make a demo, send me an email. I'm sure you discussed this with your surgeon, but the main concern with correcting strabismus as an adult is that it can introduce double vision. Yeah, he did a little test with me where he stuck a crystal in front of my eyes and he had me look through it, which kind of simulates him repositioning the eye. And he said, "Do you see one image or two?" And I said, "I think I see just one." And he said, "That's what I wanted to hear. That's good." He said, "I think you'd have a good chance then of this being successful." He did mention that he had a patient where he it is reversible, and he said he had to get it reversed. He just couldn't deal. It had been 6 weeks or something. The guy's vision, he was having double vision. It was not getting better. But I think that that's the exception, and not the rule, from at least from what he's been telling me. So I'm definitely going to consult with him a little bit more. But it's been a lot of my life with this problem, and it's like, if I think it's worth it to give it a shot. Hope you are a Connor McDavid Oilers fan. Absolutely, 100%. I love the McDavid, Draisaitl. Those guys are unbelievable to me. I'm not a Skinner hater, but I do think they just need, the guy is all heart and everything, but when the Oilers fall apart, they fall apart, and in grand, devastating fashion. And I just feel like they just, I hate saying it because I want to believe, but it's like they need I believe just a goaltender that's a monster. If they had that, they might be unstoppable. So they just got outplayed last year. Florida was just a better team. Because probably mainly defense goaltending. I don't know, right? Discuss. I collect Charvel model series and mod them. That's cool. Made my own Jack Butler, put a Floyd Rose on them, all 86 to 88 Charvel. How many do you have? That's so cool. I only had the one back in the day. I had a red one. I loved it. It was bitching. With the rosewood board. Amazing neck. It was easily as good of a neck as the one on my US Jackson. Played like crazy. I'm sorry I got rid of that guitar because it was really cool. Maybe you've got mine. Yeah, somebody out there's probably got it. What are we doing here? It's 7:13. I gotta go. I can't believe this feels short. I'm actually having a lot of fun doing this, but I should split in about 10 minutes. But let's talk a little bit more about. So you have one of the early Charvel necks, early 82 on a custom Alan Holdsworth style guitar. That's cool. I love all this talk of these. This is you guys are my people, and this era of 81 or 82 through like 87 or 88, for me this is when I was my formative years of like deciding that I didn't want to do anything else but this. And sounds pretty cool. Yeah. I'm gonna move down in the chat. There's a lot of comments here, so I'm just gonna get through it. Oh, I got an alarm going there for some reason. What's that alarm telling me to do? New reminder. Come on, tell me what. I'm not really sure. 1 hour ago. I'm not sure what the heck that reminder was for. Anyways. What else we got here? Ryan says he had a knee replacement surgery. I hope it's healing up good. I know sometimes hips and knees, they can be tough, right? Oh, I know what that reminder was about. Okay, I'm gonna do that in a minute. IRX is one of the best products come out in years. That with a powered speaker would be a good alternative to a tube amp. Honestly, it sounds great. I mean, you wouldn't know it wasn't an amp when it's basically an amp. I mean, it's a tube preamp. If it was in a rack, we wouldn't even question it, right? So, and I do think he should make a rack mount one. And I think maybe he will. But rack mount preamp into a tube power amp, you basically got. I mean, everybody was kind of doing that in the late 80s, early 90s anyway, right? So definitely a good product. Yeah. There's a super chat. Thanks, Pete, for sushi. I appreciate that. I'll definitely be eating that today, I think. Yeah. Let's see. What do the Japanese lyrics mean in the breakdown of BOC's Godzilla? I don't know. I didn't realize there was Japanese lyrics in there. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Anything on your guitar shopping list? I mean, you never know till you see it, but I'm always out looking for. Someday I'd love a nice conversion, Les Paul or a just something that's not stupid. Like they're all stupid money, but a nice SG, a real vintage SG, 64 probably with like a wide neck is something that I would consider because I feel like they're still reasonable. They're not like totally ridiculous prices. So, yeah, that's something that I'm always on the lookout for. And I've found a couple of these. I just really like the necks on them, and I think they sound great. And so, yeah. Okay. Unless you join a union, my mother was with SAG. I don't know if the musicians union has insurance. They do, but they don't. When I was, doing union stuff, which I don't really do anymore. The union is useless for me. You got to make a certain amount of money every year through the union, which means you're basically a session musician, playing in studios on things. And like, that stuff's gone away. Like it doesn't even exist anymore the way they used to. Most sessions these days are just people paying you, directly for it. And nothing's going through union unless it's a big, proper, you know what I mean? Like it's like majority of sessions these days aren't that. And, but anyway, I never had, even in those days, any help with health insurance through the musicians union. I've always had to do my own plan. So just private plan that I got to pay for myself. That's how it is. If you pay to play to live in the United States. What else we got here? Just watched the train wreck video again today. Boy, what an amp. I noticed you had same chair back then 4 years ago. Good chair to last so long. Yeah, it's a great chair actually from IKEA. It's really, really good. Comparable to chairs that were like $900. And it was about $250. I was watching some 2025 CRS and was very impressed. How did you get a very convincing AC30 sound from your PT100s when you were playing where the streets have no name? One thing I would do here's the first thing, is right from the source, I would use the picks that Edge uses, which ironically have an edge on them. He would play, I think it's a Herco pick, with the grippy on one end and then the point on the other end, and he'd turn it around and use the grippy part to strum the string. And I'll be damned if it doesn't add this great big giant chime to the sound. So that's the first thing, is I would switch picks for that song. And what was I using? I was using the SD3000 for the delay. It wasn't, so it's not even right. It was like coming post, in the effect loop of PT100. I can't really remember. I just had my compressor on, I think. And I don't think I was really doing a lot of EQ or anything with any other. I mean, I was probably using the H90 for something, but I don't really remember what. I'd have to look at the sound, to be honest, but the pick is a big one. And then I would use the number 2 position on my PT traditional 90 guitar with the P90 and the bridge and the PT90, we call it, and the middle single. So those 2 pickups together. And with that pick and the right delay time, the pick is huge. Like when you try it with a normal pick, it sounds completely different than if you do because it's got this scrape on the top of every note that kind of translates as, oh, we think of it as Vox edge tone. It's interesting. Try it if you haven't tried it. The pick is a must. Yeah, for that sound. I would have, loved to have had in particular an AC30 style amp for that. So I'm a big fan. I've got this. I used it on something recently that I'm really excited about. That's coming out in January, I think. I can't tell you what it is yet, but it's cool. So proud of it. It's a song that I worked on for something with somebody I've wanted to do something with for a long time. So I'm very excited about it. But you'll know what I'm talking about in a couple months. But anyways, I used my Mark Sampson designed Era 30 because it was the right sound for this particular track. And I love that amp, and it's kind of pushing the AC30 thing into the future, I feel like. So it's a really, really, really nice amp. Big fan of that. I'd love to find a way, if we're doing some in the future, there's probably no way to do it, really. I mean, it would be ridiculous for me to bring another amp just for a song like, because you even said, I mean, you gave me the compliment. You said it sounded good and you were impressed with the tone. So it's like, do I need to make it better for that AC30 thing? Probably not. Probably just, work with what I've got, because I've got a beautiful amp there, in the PT100, but it is Fender Marshall, I've never claimed that it'll do spot on dead nuts box tones, So, yeah. Okay, I got about 3 more minutes and then I got to split. Let's see here. Really enjoying this, though. Thanks for showing up at this random time. There's still almost 200 people here, and it's great. Thanks for hanging with me, you guys. Cool to hear that Andy Timmons is working on some things with Sir. Yeah, I think, he's really happy. I think John, really digs him as well, and it's great. It's really great. So I'm very happy about that. Greetings from down under. You're about on the same time zone as me right now, John. Love your work. Have you had any experience using IRs for your acoustic? Yeah, a little bit, and I quite liked it. The last time I played with Chris Cornell in 2016, we did a private show at the Roxy for something, and I used mainly for an acoustic on that show a Takamine guitar that had a good basic direct. They're Takaminis. They got good pickups in them, but they're very like that piezo Takamine thing. And then I added an IR to that and a little compression and EQ, and I loved it. And I remember the guy mixing was like, "What kind of pickup have you got in that guitar? It's amazing. Like, it sounds really like a mic'd acoustic." And it was an IR that I was adding. But that was the only time that I ever really delved into it and really got deep into it. I feel like with acoustic guitar, like ever since then, it's always a song or two a night for me on whatever gig I'm doing. And it always feels like a little much to. Lately, I've been using my Carl Martin acoustic gig pedal, which is kind of a foot pedal, multi, like there's an EQ, a boost, a reverb, a compressor, a simple tuner that doesn't work very well, but the rest of the pedal's great. It functions as a DI. It's got an XLR on it, and there's a mute on it. So I've been taking that. I have that here now, and I'm actually using it on this, adding just a little compression. And, if a guitar has a particular boomy frequency or something, it's got a nice parametric mid-range on it, and I can get in there and dial that out. So that's been my acoustic preamp pedal for using it on Five for Fighting a couple months ago, and then I'm using it on this as well. I have it over here, and it just works really good for that purpose. So I'm doing that. Be nice if it had an IR loader in it, though. That'd be cool. When I did it with Chris, I used a Helix to load the IR, and just a Helix just for the acoustic sounds, line 6 Helix to load IR, add a little EQ, a little graphic EQ, I remember, and a little compression, maybe a little reverb, just a touch. And I made like an acoustic preset that sounded really good with that particular guitar. Braxall says, "Are you okay?" I'm okay. Hi. Genki desu. Daijoubu. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm pretty far back in the chat. Why don't I go down to the bottom here? I'm sorry, guys, if I missed questions and stuff like that. But yeah. Don't forget to give Pete a thumbs up and like before the end of the stream. Helps with the algorithm. Thanks, Eston. That's true. Yeah, if you don't mind, a little thumbs up on the video. Who's turning 53 next week? That's Van Boingo. Turning 53 next week. Started playing guitar again. Congrats. My wife asked me why I don't sound like the CDs. What should I tell her? I like her pancakes. Just tell her, don't worry about it. I got other things going on. You've stuck with me all this time. You must like me for something. If not my ability to sound exactly like the parts on the CDs. Just look at her and say, be nice. All right. Braxall says, you always sound good. Thanks. I saw Reb Beach at Guitar Sanctuary. I told Chris from Sir to get you over there. Andy Timmons was hanging out as well. That's awesome. Was Reb using? I saw him the other day in a video, and he's using a PT-15. Which I love that at a clinic, a SIR clinic, I assume. Todd says, "Stay hydrated." I will do so. I will do so. Christian says, "Watching the tail end. Have a great time in Japan." Thank you. Yeah, I better split because I got to jump in a van in about 4 minutes. So listen, everybody. Maybe I'll take some pictures and stuff. I'll show you what I found today. Next week, I think at this time. I'll see when I'll put up like I did put up a watch page yesterday. I'll put up a watch page for when I can do this. I may be on my way to Osaka around this time next week, so I might have to do it at a different time. Maybe shift it a day. Maybe do it on Saturday. Maybe I can do one. It's possible I can do one at the usual time next week if I'm up super late or something on Sunday night. It'll be, or no, it'll be, yeah, is that right? Yeah, if I'm up super late Sunday night, it'll be Sunday morning for you folks in the States. So that's what it would be. And, or maybe kind of early morning, like a 9 a.m. thing. That's possible. Maybe I can do like a 9 a.m. next week at the usual time. That'd be like 1 a.m. for me in Japan. And I could, hang for 45 or something until I get tired enough where I gotta just drop off sleep. Maybe that's the angle. So we'll see. All right. I'll let you know in advance. Thanks for being here, and thanks for dealing with the random times and stuff like that. But you know the drill by now. You've been around. We've been doing this for what's it been? 6 years, 7 years now. That's crazy. All right, everybody. Have a terrific week, and be nice to one another. Stay safe. Thanks so much for hanging. I really appreciate it. Take care. See ya.